寝ている子を起こすなよ。
いつの間に。
貴様の罠には最後に穴が開いたな。途中で十一君と入れ替わったんだ。
I have no political affiliations, and I pardon this expression, but I say this all the time. I think politics are pretty gay, Tucker.
Episode 16. Politics are gay. Always have been, always will be. Salutations, and welcome to Podcast. I am your host, Lily Abernathy. As we enter the 2024 election season, I wanted to take a moment to discuss politics and how beyond gay they are, and not in the cool, I'm a chick with and I suck other guys kind of way, but like a 1990s, damn, that's gay, kind of way. You get the point. We're perfectly cool with homosexuals, lesbians, and trans here at Podcast. I'm a bisexual myself. Why are politics gay, you might be wondering? Well, they're gay because it's really just an illusion, and we all know magicians are gay as Why are you trying to illusion me like that? You want to roofie me or something? None of them are cool. Diplo vibe having ass. And of course, none of us started this country, and everyone that did is long gone. It's all really just a game that seems most people involved either want power, money, or influence. Like, can anyone seriously tell me why Vivek Ramaswamy isn't just banging out his wife as they travel the world every day? He's worth $1 billion. Politics are also quite insidious, creeping their way into places they shouldn't. Something that should just be elected officials carrying out the will of the people become a rotating door of the aforementioned reasons most people seem to get into politics. I actually had a family member that worked as a lobbyist for the Democratic Party at a point during their life, before eventually just settling as a personal injury attorney. So, as a youth, I would often ask questions about how everything worked. I went to a rather prominent public high school that we will say was ranked somewhere in the top 3 in the nation at the time. I was in the International Baccalaureate program and graduated 6 months early before returning to my homeland of the UK to attend Aberystwyth University. But during my time in American high school, I had who I would consider one of the most influential teachers of probably my life in my government and economics teacher, Mr. Vincent. The man had enormous DSLs, and it was often joked by the students that he was having fat from his injected into his lips in hopes to impress women, more specifically, the freshman English teacher, Mrs. She was quite the looker. She was one of the first women that made me question my sexuality, often wearing very revealing clothing and thongs that would show in hopes of attracting Mr. V, which seemed to be a success, as during my sophomore year, she was pregnant with her first child, and the staff seemed rather torn on who the father was. Regardless if he was Kim K-ing himself or impregnating the staff, the man spent an annoying amount of time explaining the ins and outs of politics, to the point that I registered as an independent. Both main political parties just seemed so evil to me, and even the very intriguing Libertarian Party at the time just never had their together, and still don't seem to. Voting seemed almost pointless, and any effort to change anything as a standard citizen just came off as basically impossible unless the powers that be were willing to allow it. I'd often look at the young Republican and Democrat kids as foolhardy pawns, often writing them off almost completely because they just reeked of gay like Harry J. Sisson. I would feel bad for all the JROTC kids who were taking it seriously to the point that they were actually going to join the military, and during the time the war in the Middle East was cooking. My grandfather was a product of the Vietnam War, and I've witnessed the repercussions of what war, let alone pointless warfare, does. And let me tell you, if you don't have a family member that's been to war and witnessed combat, it's just Like politics, war is also very gay. Poor Alan is going to have to do a ton of editing for YouTube on this one. Sorry, Alan. While I wasn't the exact target audience, during the mid-2000s there was a show that was on Comedy Central that was a bit different than the usual news program, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Anyone that grew up or was a younger adult during this time should be familiar with it. It was a half-hour American late-night talk and satirical news television program on 4 nights a week. Stewart's appeal was blending politics with comedy, which hadn't really been done before, and he did it rather well for the time, but mixing anything with politics is gay, especially when the main focus of comedy is lost and politics takes precedent. It's like when a video game makes you cook, and you have that one ingredient that no matter what you mix with, it makes the things horrible or burnt. That's what happens with politics, but gay. I didn't watch The Daily Show a ton, but I do think it was the real start of political parties discovering just how deep into entertainment they could go. While each political party each had their hand in a number of news networks and outlets like newspapers, magazines, and the occasional actor or actress on their side, they never had anything like this before. Stewart had the attention of young audiences and was always left leaning, even more so over time, showing and allowing the Democratic Party to see just how advantageous this could be. They found yet another way to deliver their propaganda in the form of comedic entertainment. Stewart's success even led to the rise of another occasional guest and fake persona on his show to get their own show on the network in the form of Stephen Colbert and The Colbert Report. I mean, currently, does anyone take these guys seriously anymore? They're just played-out pawns reaching for any form of relevancy in recent years, still grasping for the attention of the generations that still watch cable TV. Both of these shows were active before the Democratic Party took control of the White House in 2009, after they won the election the year prior. 2009 was also the year the NBC show Parks and Recreation came out. I'm sure you are familiar, but if you aren't or don't remember it, it was a lazily written sitcom that included a lot of Democratic propaganda. It even featured Joe Biden, Jill Biden, and Michelle Obama in some episodes. The main character saw herself as a combination of Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and Condoleezza Rice. I mean, doesn't that just sound like one of the worst combination of women that you could possibly put together? Alan literally just threw up in the trash as I spoke that aloud. The show also featured a guest star in the early seasons. That is an example of what flying too close to a political party can do to your career if you get into some hot water. No, not that Indian who had a bad date that ruined his career, and he decided to learn guitar and pretend to be Kirk Hammett for part of his comedy special. That was actually a main character of the show. Did we all know that Louis C.K. was probably a sexual deviant from his comedy and TV shows? Yeah, I think we all kind of got the idea right. So, when his whole little fiasco went down, he took quite a financial hit and had to kind of disappear for a moment because all his new friends couldn't publicly defend him. And then there's some people whose careers were seriously helped by him, like Tig Notaro, who just piggybacked off his misfortune as well. How ironic that she would also let Jake Flores open for her. Maybe her butch lesbian aura just attracts male sexual deviance to her or something. I mean, honestly, the only reason we keep seeing Louis now and why he didn't take a bigger plunge like Aziz, who was replaced by a black lesbian as the main character on his own Netflix show, was because he was actually really good at stand-up comedy and a pretty creative guy who eventually had some friends who didn't care about politics that much allow him to feel welcomed again. I guarantee had Louis not flown too close to the political sun, his brief hiccup would have been handled much smoother. I mean, even the Biden campaign says it has refunded a donation from Louis in 2020. Now look, it's about 50-50 on Democrats and Republicans controlling the office, since the good Lord has allowed me to grace this wonderful world. I know a lot of podcasters are going to say something super lame along the lines of, it's kind of like both sides are the same. I'm not talking about people like the Crowder Boys, who are live on Wednesdays and don't forget to super chat, and are obviously joking and making fun of people when they say it. But I'm here to tell you, it's all just gay. Politics are gay. They've been gay, they will always be gay. Just look at what happened to Kyle Gass. Him and Jack Black flew a little too close to the sun because the Democrats had been in control of Hollywood for so long now that it actually backfired on them. I personally haven't seen the video of him saying it, but I saw that his response was that it was a bad improvised line, and hey, maybe it was. But there is one thing I'm tired of people doing in general, and that's saying something that you clearly meant, and then being like, oh no, it was a joke to backstep the negative reaction. And Jack Black. Like, what the is that How are you not going to have your boys back when you were just shilling for Biden like 2 weeks ago? Do you really need to do another movie with Kevin Hart and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? If it really was a joke, then these people wouldn't be cancelling. They're just finally realizing that the pendulum is swinging the other way and they need to cover their arse. They can still make some money. Let's all get ready for the right to constantly try to cancel people from the left, since that's what's been happening for years now to them. These people are all so unoriginal and gay. Politics are gay. So no more politics. I really do not give a It's an election year, and I could care less about watching the hypocrisy from every possible angle. As I mentioned earlier, make sure to tune in to the Crowder Boys every Wednesday live. Make sure to super chat and make Robbie do impressions you want to see. Make sure to check out Crackamiko's live stream on Saturdays called Crack House Live, where you can catch the man, player hating, and the occasional freestyle. Make sure to check out Robbie's podcast, What About Rob, featuring fellow comedian Wolfgang Hunter. And finally, make sure to check out Dalton Pruitt's podcasts, Corn-Fed Bible Study, and The Idiot Investor. And just remember, politics are gay. Always have been, always will be. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Follow us at Podcast the Pod on X, formerly Twitter. This has been Lily Abernathy, signing off.
Get up on stage, shouting out their plans, promising the world, shaking everybody's hands. One says go left, the other go right, but at the end of the day, they're just spoiling for a fight. It's red, white, and blue, that's what they say on TV, but all I see is red or blue, never straight up honesty. One's talking about the future, one's stuck in the past, but neither of them's driving, we're just running out of gas. Two sides of the same coin, a circle round and round. Democrat or Republican, they both wear the same crown. We all stand in line and cast our vote for change, but in the end it's just new faces to the same old game. They argue in the morning, then they laugh by nightfall. It's a big old theater show, the finest of them all. They're making loads of money while we struggle to get by, and they keep on selling dreams like there's a pie in the sky. They're puppets on a string, controlled by the unseen, with lobbyists and promises they keep their hands clean. It's a spectacle political, this red and blue charade, marching to the same beat, just a different parade. Oh, it's two sides of the same coin, a circle round and round. Democrat or Republican, they both wear the same crown. We all stand in line and cast our vote for change, but in the end it's just new faces to the same old game. Oh, it's two sides of the same coin, a circle round and round. Democrat or Republican, they both wear the same crown. We all stand in line and cast our vote for change, but in the end it's just new faces to the same old game. It's the same old game.